Welcome to Tom Clark's Substack podcast.
Today, I want to talk about writing. Now, if you've followed the podcast since its start here on Substack or on Apple or whatever that looks like, then you know that this thing is pretty heavily produced. Actually, you may not know that if you don't know my other shows. I've got 3 other podcasts. One is about pro wrestling, one's about Ted Lasso, and one's about everything under the sun in terms of geek culture. And more on that in a bit. But this one is very heavily produced, whereas those 3 are not. They're very free-flowing. There is some organization to them, in as much as when I set out to do them, I have a game plan, okay? And I know what the agenda is, and I do everything I can to make those pods as entertaining as possible. But looking back over the Substack podcast here, pretty creative name, by the way, right? I knew you'd feel that way. Hey, at least I brand it. That's something I tend to do quite a bit. Because there's only like one Tom Clark in the world, and it's me. That's a big lie. But when listening back and looking back over this podcast here, I have realized, it didn't take me long, I have realized that, man, this is boring. This is just me reading columns. So I decided I'm going to pivot from that and not do that. I'm not going to say I'll never do it again, but I'm going to try to make it a little bit livelier, because if you are subscribing on Substack, chances are you may be subscribing to more than one person, which means your inbox is getting flooded. Because, buddy, I know mine is. I get flooded with so many Substack notifications. I don't know which end is up most of the time. Now, if you suspect that I don't read all of them, you suspect correctly. But having said all that, again, I just want to make this thing easier to listen to. So hopefully the next time my name pops up in your email, you won't shake your head and go, oh, this guy again. What a vanilla white guy this Tom Clark dude is. You may be thinking that right now. Hey, guilty. I'm pretty white. I mean, exterior-wise anyway, I'm pretty white. I look pretty white. I'm pretty transparent. So, in that vein, today let's be transparent, right? How'd you like that segue? It's a good one. That's almost like I planned it. I didn't, actually. I want to talk about a couple different things today. One of the things I want to talk about is writing, as I said before. Why do I write? Why do any of us write? Is it to communicate? Is it to just get our ideas out? Is it to just, be able to look back on something and say, hey, I did a thing? Is that why we do it? Or do we do it as a means to an end? Do we do it to make ourselves happy? What is it? If you're listening to this and you are not a writer, count yourself lucky. You want to know why? Because once you're a writer, you pretty much have to write. And when you don't write, you feel guilty for not writing. But in the process of writing, you're beating yourself up going, oh man, I'm writing again. Jeez, it's going to take all day. But then when you're done, you're like, oh, it's done. I like that. I like that. It's pretty good. Then the next day it starts all over again. I don't make the rules. I just tell you about them, okay? And it's the truth. I don't know how everyone else responds to being a writer, but all the cliches you've heard and seen in memes are 100% true. It is a gift and a curse, I guess. But, unlike the Jay-Z album, not everything's a hit, right? But here's what I'll tell you. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about, why am I writing? What is the point of this? Who am I trying to impress? What messages am I sending out into the void? Okay? Because trust me, as a content creator for 14 years now, it's an endless void of content creation. You make a thing, you put a lot of blood, sweat, energy, and time into a thing, you send it out into the void, into the universe, as it were, and then you start everything over again the next day. And there never really seems to be an opportunity to stop and take stock in what you've written and say, hey, that was pretty good. Or, hey, here's where I can get better. Okay? And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And also the fact is that when I write, I tend not to get a lot of engagement. Engagement's a big word. And as a guy who's been social media manager in the past, engagement is a word ordinarily I would live and die by. These days, not entirely true, but more on that in a bit too, I suppose. But for me, even though I don't set out to conquer the world or to become a hit writing sensation or a phenom or, have 1 million followers and make all this money. Boy, wouldn't that be nice? I've always written because I enjoy it. I recently got into a discussion with one of the guys I podcast with who was kind of looking back over his podcasting career and wondering why he's still doing it. Should he keep doing it? And the first thing out of my mouth was, why are you podcasting to begin with? What's your goals? Because as someone, again, who's worked in marketing and worked in social media, anytime a campaign is put in front of me, and my first question is, what are the goals of this campaign? What are we trying to achieve? If the answer is, I want 1 million followers and a buttload of money, then, okay, you might have a long way to get there, and I don't know that you can get there, but here are steps that we can take to maybe, possibly one day get there, right? By the way, if there's a magic button, I haven't found it, please feel free to share it in the comments because I have yet to see it. I'm not sure if it even exists. I've heard more Bigfoot sightings than I've heard about a magic button being pressed where everything instantly gets you over and you become a rich guy, right? So again, why are you doing this? If it's for fun because you enjoy talking to your friends and you enjoy having conversations, then keep doing it. Well, that takes me back to the writing. Why am I still doing this? Because I enjoy doing it. I'm not myself when I don't write. And that sounds weird, but it's the truth. Kind of like the Snickers bar commercial, right? It's the same thing for me, man. I can't speak for anybody else, but it's the same thing for me. I'm not myself when I'm not a writer. I've always been self-described as a writer. I've been described as other things by other people. We won't get into that. But for me personally, again, I'm not Tom, or at least the Tom that's talking to you right now, unless he's a writer. But I did put a little bit of a rant on Substack the other day, and I had all of like 3 people respond with, hang in there, buddy. Right? I feel you. And look, I'm not trying to make a lot of the comments. I appreciate the comments. It's 3 more than I thought I would get. Can I be honest? And I don't want this to sound like a woe is me situation either. I just don't. Because I don't want to be that guy. And you know what the problem is? It's extremely easy to be that guy. And I freaking don't want to be that guy, man. I seriously don't. I want to be the guy that works hard and is eventually rewarded for his work. I spent a lot of years as a pro wrestling writer. And if you're not into pro wrestling, you don't understand it, that's fine. Just try to bear with me here. But I spent a lot of years in the content mills and churning out blog after blog after blog, either getting paid nothing or getting paid next to nothing. Certainly never getting paid what I deserved, okay? Fast forward now, 14 years after that, and I still can't get paid what I deserve to get paid. And why is that? Is it because I'm older? Possibly. Is it because that the game is what it is and it never changes? That's more likely the answer. The game is the game and it never changes. The people at the top will always make much more than the people under them. And that's how the game is played. Okay? If a website made 50 grand this month, the writers are going to get $1,000 of it. If they're lucky, if you've got like 10 of them. Do you know what I mean? It's the truth, man. It's the truth. That's how it works. I'm not happy about it. I laugh because if I don't laugh, I cry. But that's the truth of it. I've had dreams about being able to say, hey, Tom, nice to meet you. What do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a writer. I still have yet to be able to say that. I just said that out loud to my therapist about 30 minutes ago. Felt awesome. It's not true. Not entirely true. I can say I'm a content creator. Can I say I'm making a living at it? No, I cannot. I've been out of work since the first week of May. And for reasons I don't want to get into here. What I'll tell you is I have no ill will against anyone I've ever worked for, with one exception. And I can't say that's even ill will. But it's not the last role I had. There were, pretty good people on that job. And it just wasn't a good fit. And again, I don't hold a grudge. It's just not who I am. Life's too short, man. I can't walk around hating things. Well, I take that back. I don't go around hating people. I can hate things all day long. I can hate circumstances. I can hate situations. I can hate dumb things that people say. But I do all I can not to hate people. Because again, it's weird. It's off-putting. It doesn't do me any good. There's no agenda there. There's no goals there. It doesn't help me or get me anywhere closer to where I want to be. That's the truth. But I've been on the job hunt since the first week of May. It's to say it's challenging is to say, the earth is round, and it is. You wackos, get over yourselves. But it's reality, man. It's vicious. And I've had one failed, moment after another. I had a job screening last week. The call went extremely well because if I can do nothing else, I can crush an interview. But at 8:50 p.m. my time last night, I get the rejection email. And guess what the email said? It thanked me for my time, which I expect. But I didn't get the obligatory, while your resume was impressive, we've decided to move with other candidates who more correctly fit the position. I didn't even get that bit of nonsense. You know what I got? I got nothing. What I got was absolutely embarrassing. It's so embarrassing, I don't even want to tell you about it. I'm probably gonna, because, what else have I got to do? You're listening to the podcast, aren't you? But hopefully, there again, is anyone out there? But again, probably shouldn't share it, and we'll leave names out of it because it is what it is. I won't even tell you the name of the company. No problem. Because again, I'm not here for that. But here's what I was told. Thank you for your interest in the content marketing manager opening we had posted and the time you spent applying for it. We're going to move forward with an alternative candidate. Really? That's what I got? We're going to move forward with an alternative candidate. What is that? That's how you tell people? Now, again, this coming from the guy that's been out of work since the 1st of May, okay? That's a big deal to me. That hits hard. That hits really hard. And it's a tone of voice I don't appreciate. And it's a cold, distant way of responding. Absolutely ridiculous. And this person followed it up with, please continue to check our career site for available opportunities. Fat chance, okay? I wish you masses of luck in your job search. That's a new one. I just now realized I've never heard that in my life. And hope a different role will come up we can collaborate on more successfully. You mean more successfully other than, hey, Tom, F you, get out? Again, is this the most unprofessional email I've ever read? No, it's not. Will it be the last rejection I get? Probably not, no. But I've gotten rejections much better than this. They didn't make me feel too warm and fuzzy. And really, other than a, yes, you're hired, we love you, other than that kind of response, any response is not what you want to hear, right? Of course it's not. But again, here's what I tell you. The way the response was formed, the way it was written, made all the difference to me. Plus, I had a bad night last night. So when I get this email at 8:50 p.m. my time, I'm going to react a little bit differently. So I fired back. And I said this, I appreciate the quick response, and I would love to ask why you chose not even to give me an interview, but I suspect I will not hear back from you. This has been my situation for 4 months, and unfortunately, I can never get any actionable feedback. I've held positions with far more responsibility than this one and made far more money than the salary that was listed, but yet here we are. It's disappointing, and I was expecting more than this, but business is business after all. Good day to you. Thanks for your time. Guess what, kids? She responded 10 minutes later. Can you believe that? The fact that she responded at all? Here's the response. Tom, get out. No, I'm kidding. I completely understand your frustration in today's market. Can you, though? It is not my ultimate decision on who is interviewed by the marketing team. She capitalized the words marketing team, by the way. I also don't always get a clear reply from our team on why they chose one candidate over another. We do try to do what we can so you aren't left hanging and wondering. Our recruiting team, again capitalized, does its due diligence, makes the recommendations, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. I do apologize and wish you the best. So the only thing I said was, thank you for your response. So there you go. By the way, she threw it back on the recruiter. Here's the funny bit. The recruiter had sent me an email 3 days ago telling me she had indeed sent my resume and results of my screening to the hiring manager and wished me good luck. You see what just happened there? Do you see what just happened there, kids? This person blamed the recruiter, or basically insinuated that the recruiter said no, when I know that that's not the case. In the grand scheme of things, life goes on. It is what it is. But it's another, not setback, but it's another bit of frustration that just keeps piling up. On the bright side, I have been working and doing a content writing gig. I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of work, but it's what I love to do. So I'm definitely not complaining, and I don't want to get frustrated, and I possibly have more work coming my way. All this means money coming in, which is something I desperately need. Okay? I got bills to pay. My savings are getting tapped, and it's difficult. I'm not going to lie. But, I have found that being honest with the audience and presenting an honest picture of myself usually tends to get a better reaction than just, as I said earlier, overproducing a podcast that maybe no one's listening to. Is anyone going to listen to this? I don't have any idea. The audience I have for my other 3 shows, by the way, Tom Clark's Main Event, Tom Clark's 6M Podcast, and Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast, all available on boinkstudios.com, B-O-I-N-K, boinkstudios.com. There's my plug. All of those shows that I do, I know who my audience is fairly well. The engagement is up and down, but in neither case with any of these 3 shows am I setting the world on fire. I'm just not. It's just not happening. I'm not Mark Maron. I love Mark Maron, by the way. He's one of my favorite guys to listen to. I love his stand-up. I got the chance to see him live, and he crushed. And I even had him record a soundbite for my podcast at that time on the way out the door, and it was lovely. Great guy. And I love his show. I'm no Mark Maron. I may never be to that level. I may never get beyond the level I'm in. Doesn't mean I don't want to. Because, there is the philosophy as we make our own luck, right? And, whether or not you believe that's up to you. I don't have any idea what you believe, okay? But, your call. I want to switch gears here for just a moment. Quit talking about myself quite as much. I want to talk about the debate. If you thought this wasn't going to get political, you thought wrong. Now, I don't know how you vote. Probably none of my business. But here's what I will tell you. There's not a man, woman, or child living, breathing on this planet today or before today who could convince me that Doofus should be reelected as president of the United States. It is absolutely not happening in terms of me believing it, in terms of me being convinced. There's nothing. This man is not a man. He is a monster. He is a monster, okay? And there are things that people get over dramatic about. There are things that people go over the edge about. There are things that people make too much of. This is not one of them. He is an absolute effing monster, okay? There is no 2 ways about it. End of story. All right? And that's the truth. That's the truth. He had no business being elected the first time. He has less business getting elected this time. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're outside of our country and you're listening to this, trust me when I tell you, if this man is elected again, I have grave concerns about what's going to happen to this country. Now, I'm not a political podcaster. I've made that abundantly clear. I don't write about politics. I've barely just scraped the surface of what it means to write about anything from a political standpoint. Is that going to change? I don't know. Never say never, right? About anything. I don't think so, but who knows? But again, I got stuff on my chest I want to get off and things in my head I'd like to talk about, so this is one of them. I watched that debate, and the way their side tried to spin it is fascinating to me. I'm telling you right now, she took his lunch money from him. It's the truth. It is the absolute effing truth. And anyone who doesn't believe that didn't watch the same debate. They just didn't watch the same debate. Now, I know it's easy. I know it's real easy to be involved with a political party and believe that the candidate of your choosing, the candidate of the party's choosing is your guy. And it's ride and die, man, right? Every time with that candidate. And I should know because I voted Republican for most of my life. I did, man. I did. But you know what? I now vote Democrat, and I will continue to vote Democrat. And I know what you're thinking, Tom. People are people. People shouldn't be name called. You shouldn't call them doofus. All right, fine. Monsters is too heavy. Okay, fine as well. But you sit there with a straight face and tell me that it's okay to tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her body. You sit there with a straight face and tell me it's okay to ban books. And furthermore, it's okay to burn those books. You sit there with a straight face and tell me that you have the right to tell people what gender they can identify as. You sit there and tell me that you have the right to tell people how they should worship and what God to pray to. You sit there and tell me with a straight face that there should be a moral authority making these decisions. You have lost my vote. If the day comes that the Democrats get anywhere close to suggesting any of the above, they have lost my vote. Okay? I got a real problem with being told what to do. And I'm not a cowboy. All right? Not me. I don't buck the system like that. I don't rage for the sake of raging. But I don't like people interfering in my business and in my existence and in my life. If I were a woman, I'd like it even less. If I were a minority, I would like it even less than that. Okay? Let people be who they are. If you don't hear anything else from this pod, and again, if there's anyone listening, hear this. Let people be who they are, period. It is none of your business. It is none of your concern. Get out of the way, get over yourself, and deal with your business. It is not up to you to tell anyone how to live, how to worship, how to pray or not pray, or whatever. That is up to them, not you. You want someone coming in the room telling you what to do, right? Don't do it to anybody else. It is not your concern. Okay? By the way, Kamala Harris is black. What are we doing? What the F are we doing here, man? Enough is enough. 20 seconds of listening to this guy. And you don't know? By the way, sidebar. I've seen interviews and reporters going to undecided voters after the debate. You know what a lot of them are saying? They're still undecided. I am sick. I am sick to my soul of people refusing to open their eyes to see what this person is. You have got to effing be kidding me right now. I cannot believe the polls are even close. I cannot believe he has a chance at all. But here's what I know to be true. Not everyone who votes for him is racist. Not everyone who votes for him are Christians that want to take over the country. Not everyone who votes for him are bad people. But if you sit there and tell me, again, with a straight face, that none of those elements of people are voting for him and want him to win, you are fooling yourself, period. Because they know they got the best chance of getting their agenda put through if he's their guy and he's in charge. And that's the truth, period. Shut up. Stop trying to convince me otherwise, okay? I know a con artist when I see one. Remember the bit about me writing about pro wrestling? I know a con artist when I see one. I know what getting worked means. He's been working people for years. And only now have a lot of people decided to wake up and say, wait a minute, What's this fever dream of a nightmare I've had for 20 years where I believed everything this idiot said? All right? It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. See what is in front of you. Okay? You don't like Kamala Harris? No one said you had to. You don't like a lot of what the Democrats stand for? No one said you had to. But here's what I'll tell you that I want, personally. I want us to get back to the point when all we had was politicians who we knew were lying. And it was your typical lies. And they argued about bills. And they argued about who was going to do better for the party. That's what I want. I am tired of a woman, an adult woman, having to come out to remind people what race she is. Are you effing kidding me? Are what? And she's having to do that, folks. She has to do that. Doesn't have a choice. And I'm sick of a candidate telling me that he didn't have anything to do with the insurrection and that they're eating cats and dogs. And any number of other ridiculous amount of nonsense and venom that is spewed forth from his mouth. The way he disrespects women. If you're a woman and you're voting for him, what's happened? It's a genuine question. What's happened? What happened to you that you believe what he says? Okay? If you're a minority and you're voting for him, what happened? What did he say to fool you? I don't believe any of you are stupid, okay? But something was said to make you believe that he's good. No one is going to vote for someone that is bad. But there is enough proof, whether you want to believe it or not, that this guy is dirty. He's not a good person. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about me. He only cares about one person, and that's himself. And yet here we are with an election, and the polls are this close. Are you effing kidding me? I appreciate your time. I think that's all the ranting I'll do today. Expect this form of podcast moving forward. I think I'm done reading. That's just where I'm at. I appreciate everyone who listens and everyone who reads. And if I've offended anybody, maybe you followed my stuff and you like it, and I just don't give you props, my apologies. And I don't want it to make it sound like I'm on an island by myself. I know that's not how the world works, nor should it work that way. But here's what I'll end with. I hope you guys are good. I hope everybody's doing all right. And I hope that you guys take care of each other, okay? Make good decisions. Be bold, and mighty forces will come to your aid. You believe that, don't you? I do. I'm trying to. That's one of the many pieces of advice and quotes that I'm trying to work into my everyday existence. I've been trying for a long time. Every day is a constant battle of trying. We're always trying to get there. We're always trying to do better. That's me too. I wish you luck in whatever you're doing, whatever your endeavors are, as long as they're good. Okay? As long as you're not spreading hate or fear. I wish you luck in everything you're doing. Please wish me luck in the job search, and I would appreciate it. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I hope that you will check out my stuff and follow me wherever you can find me. I'll do the same for you. I enjoy supporting other content creators. Thanks much, kids, for listening and subscribing. And you can find my writing on Substack, on Medium, and my podcast on boinkstudios.com. Please subscribe and follow wherever I am. And if you will, be sure to like and comment on today's episode.
For more of Tom's podcasts, please visit boinkstudios.com.